Okay, the question is, this person does 60-second sprints on Tuesday, over-unders on Wednesday. Is that too much before a Saturday, Sunday race? The short answer is yes, especially if this is kind of meaning, um, I'm interpreting this as Saturday, Sunday, back-to-back races, as opposed to a single race. So I assume this is a weekend of cross racing. This ends up being a lot of intensity. And I'm just going to back up. This is really just an issue of semantics, but 60-second sprints are not a thing. Sprinting is about max force production. So even 30 seconds is a bit of a stretch to call it a sprint. 20 seconds is kind of probably the max for the longest duration that most people can truly sprint. So let's call 60 seconds, 60-second interval, effort, something else. It's not a sprint. So if I were writing this plan, and I'm not, I would also say you would kind of be done with these 60-second efforts before race season started, because we're talking about anaerobic power development. And in my mind, that should be done before the race season, because you're going to move into like anaerobic capacity in season. So anaerobic power is like that absolute power, whereas capacity is how much of that work can you do in a session, more kind of thinking of it as repeatability. So that's what I would be focused on in season. I would kind of have the athlete being done with anaerobic power, but that's kind of a separate issue. So I'm not quite sure what the over-unders look like. Are those anaerobic capacity? Is that more like tempo threshold work? I don't know that. Either way, we're looking at least 3 days of high intensity, meaning work over threshold, because we got 2 race days and the anaerobic power day, possibly 4 if those over-unders are also work over threshold, but we don't know, either 3 or 4 days of high intensity. So given that you have 2 race days, I would pull back at least one of those Tuesday, Wednesday sessions. Not knowing exactly what the over-unders look like, it's hard for me to make a recommendation in terms of like which one I would do. But assuming that those over-unders are kind of tempo threshold work, that's probably what I would recommend that you do for the midweek workout, because the racing is going to be so much anaerobic capacity. I wouldn't be wanting to add another workout like that during the week, but it would be nice to do some maintenance of tempo threshold work midweek. So, and also it's the context here matters, because it's like, are you also coming off a previous weekend of racing? Again, we don't know that. So kind of not knowing what your fatigue level is going into this week, it's hard to say, but I would probably be looking for some kind of tempo or threshold work midweek, and otherwise kind of open riding, easier riding, and then the 2 back-to-back race days, which you do want to be fresh for. In theory, we're really just looking for a day of training that's going to address some systems that are not being touched on during the racing.